All right, welcome back. Harmless Dave here. I will spare you the goofy introduction to this video. Stuff is happening up in Canada. This is an actual live stream from machines everywhere. And this guy has been covering the peaceful protest in Canada. He typically walks around and he shows the world that these truckers are not violent, but today the government of Canada is now perpetrating violence on these people. There are reports that, you know, there was one swastika and one Confederate flag. That's what they're going on to hype this, much like the war in Ukraine that we're supposed to start fighting. By the way, the commander-in-chief, or like I like to call him, the corpse-in-chief, is scheduled to give a speech prior to the sun going down, like he does pretty much every time he gives a speech. You'll notice the vehicles rolling through the streets of Canada. Looks kind of like a military vehicle, doesn't it? For those of you who, you know, back the blue no matter what, here's an instance where you cannot back the blue. The blue is out to get you. That's what the blue is out to do here. And you give dictators, you give despots power, and this is what they turn into. Justin Trudeau is a dictator. And I don't care what ideology he is. It appears that he leans into communism a bit, or he's doing some kind of hybrid, but he wants control of everybody. And he wants to hijack the narrative back to where he is standing tall, because he is 6'2". That's what I was told, but a man of very small stature. I have a friend up there. His name is Paul. And I would ask everybody, if they pray, to pray for Paul. Paul's out there in the trenches, going against his friends, going against his family, all of whom are afraid and all of whom think he's crazy because he wants freedom. Full disclosure, I'm in Southwest Florida. It's pretty normal here, other than the fact that people are still wearing the chin straps, the oxygen inhibitors, the dangling cloth earrings. People wear them like that. And even though it's not mandatory, this has been an incredible 2+ years of PSYOP that has done irreparable damage to the global population. It's not just here in Florida. And of course, it's definitely not just in Canada. Our Canadian brothers and sisters chose to be brave. They chose to be bold. And this is a civil rights issue, as far as I'm concerned. This is the right to your own body, to do with it what you choose to do with it, even if you make bad choices. That is your right, even if what they were telling you to do was the magic elixir. I've said from the very beginning, if this was 100% effective, it would still be your choice to do it or not. The fact that the government hasn't persuaded the truck drivers, that's not the truck drivers' fault. That's the government's fault. And now they're coming in there saying, look, we were patient with you guys. We put up with the peace and the love and the bouncy houses and the barbecues and the kids having a good time in the center of Ottawa, but that's over with now, because, you know, we're coming in and we're going to clear this place out. So I know 2 of the main organizers of this protest were arrested either last night or this morning. And I know that the truckers are trying to relocate their rigs and everything to some truck stop. And I don't think they're completely finished, but this just shows the power of the federal government. And it also shows that the people who they appoint or employ to carry out what is supposed to be an oath to the country, to the charter, or to the Constitution, those people do not take that oath seriously because they're siding with a tyrant over the actual document, which says that these people have freedom of movement, freedom of association, and freedom not to participate in a government-sanctioned activity that might actually do them harm. And this is something completely weird and new in my lifetime and pretty much everybody's lifetime, except if you're really old and you remember, you know, you're a Holocaust survivor, or you're a survivor of some brutal civil war in some South American country, or you had an experience in a country where people were always watching over you, and they would give you stuff to take care of you, but then they would require things of you. This is why I had a little back and forth with somebody on the channel. I don't trust anybody. Who do you trust to administer anything these days? You're the only one you can trust. Hence, the ultimate decentralization comes back to you as an individual. Now, that doesn't solve all our problems. And I don't know if it's supposed to solve all our problems. We're guaranteed the right to pursue happiness. We're never guaranteed that we will achieve happiness, but we are guaranteed the right to pursue it. And if the truck drivers want to pursue happiness in this way, and they want to be able to do their job free of all the mandates, it's not like they've been doing it for a week and they get tired of it. You know, 2+ years of this nonsense with really no end in sight in many ways, even though some of the restrictions are being lifted. Even in California, supposedly they're going to start to do away with all of the mandates and restrictions because this is a loser across the board politically. And either Trudeau thinks that he won't lose despite all of this, or he just doesn't care. And my guess is, even if he lost, I'm sure the people at the World Economic Forum could find him a nice cushy job there, calling all the shots from even higher up the food chain, which is just incredible to think about, that certain people are literally carving up the globe and trying to put down the people who make this planet work, like truck drivers, like doctors, like nurses, frontline hospital workers. You go from hero to zero because you don't want to go along with the science. You have questions that they don't answer. In fact, they won't even let you listen to a Joe Rogan podcast without telling you that this is mis and disinformation. That's wacky. This is out of control. And seeing people being wrestled to the ground by these Gestapo-like police officers, these people are posing no threat to anyone, no physical threat. I think a few weeks back or a few days back, there was a man who was like 80 years old, who was like 5'2", and they just tossed him like a rag doll into the street. I'm not sure what he was doing. I think he was trying to be enthusiastic because, again, if you don't stand up for freedom, you're going to lose it. And these people, they're throwing a Hail Mary. I know we've got truck drivers here in the States, and I'm not trying to tell the truck drivers in the States what to do, but you better get rolling. You better get rolling. We need to support these people. We need to show our own strength, our own independence, the way we used to be as a country, where we would unite and we would stick up for the underdogs. We've got these globalist tyrants that are changing not only the way we are on the inside, but they're changing the way we are on the outside. It's like a dual process. And if you don't go along with all this stuff, they call you a domestic terrorist. I want my kids to grow up being free. I want my grandkids to grow up to be free. I want everybody to experience freedom. Reagan said it was only one generation away from extinction, and he was 100% right. Eisenhower talked about the military-industrial complex, and he was 100% right. This is the great fusion of all of these worries coming together at one of the worst moments in our history as a people on planet Earth. And I don't know what we can do to stop it other than continuing to resist and support. I mean, we can't even financially support these people. They've taken that right, that ability away from us. I'm sure there's a way around it, a workaround. And you hackers out there, you computer experts who care about liberty and freedom, you better get on that. I mean, we still have Dominion voting machines. So, I mean, nothing's ever going to change until we demand it be changed and we put in people who aren't tyrants. And we need to check those people and double check them and always be ready to stand in the breach, because again, once these people experience power, they tend to change. They tend to be different people. This stuff corrupts people forever. And it's hard for them to avoid that. That's why, again, decentralized control of pretty much every aspect of everyone's life has to be something that we all shoot for moving forward. My thoughts and prayers are, of course, with the truck drivers and just generic protesters who are walking around in support of the truckers, not actual truck drivers, just lending their support. And now they're in the crosshairs. They're probably thinking to themselves, why did I do this? I never, for the life of me, thought that they would actually move in and start clearing people out of there. No negotiations, no goodwill, no looking at the entire situation and making a course correction. No, these are tyrants and they're going to get their way. This guy Trudeau, he might be the worst leader in world history in a very long time. I was going to say ever, but I know there are worse people who've just wiped out their entire population. Maybe in the modern day era, and again, I'm not privy to all the different people in third world countries, but Canada is supposed to not be a third world country. So I might step on my tongue a little bit here and say, I think Trudeau might be one of the worst ever when it comes to first world countries. I mean, people can say what they want about Xi or Putin or whoever they want to critique. And of course, China doesn't treat their people well at all. And Russia used to be a really bad place to be, but it isn't as much anymore. And that's got the world on edge. You know, we've got to take care of that. You know, we've got to make sure that Putin doesn't think he's better or his country is better. We have to work on that, but we can't work on the problems that we have with other countries, legitimate countries who are violating human rights every single day. And Canada is right up there with China and Cuba and Australia. And who would have thunk China and Canada kind of on the same playing field? Australia? What is going on? It's a global takeover. That's what it is. This is globalism. This is the dreaded New World Order, but it's worse than that. It's not just a new order of how we deal with each other politically. This is a new order as how the elites micromanage the lives of everybody beneath them. And I do think there's an agenda to get rid of a whole bunch of people. I do. Prove me wrong. Show me otherwise. I mean, there are so many statements out there between Klaus Schwab and Bill Gates. And by the way, Schwab and Trudeau, they're like two peas in a pod. I mean, this is their boy. And he's acting on their wishes. I mean, there's not much else to say about this other than the violence needs to stop in Canada. The truckers aren't doing this. The truckers have been peaceful. And hopefully the world will see this. but it's not what's going to get reported tonight. It's going to sound like, we had to go into Waco. Remember, we had to steamroll that place because there was bad stuff going on inside of there. Now, God forbid if they start to roll some heavy machinery down the road here, that would just, and for the whole world to see that, this is where we want to go as a people? I don't know, folks. I don't know. I'm a little bit speechless, so I'm going to stop, even though I've rambled a bit here. I don't know how to support the Freedom Convoy anymore. I don't know where to send donations. I don't know if people want to send donations. Are they going to be targeted? Are they going to be like the January 6th insurrection people? See, this is all a trap. And I think in a way, even though what these people did, this reminds me a lot of the January 6th problem. It really does, because people should have known better. People should have thought about it and said, what's this really going to do? You can go there and protest and show how you feel, but it's too late. They've got you. And in this case, I think the truckers made a great decision at the beginning, but as time went on and they're just sitting there, I'm not saying it's bad what they did. It's courageous. And I wish they could just stay there until someone came out and said, you know what, you guys are right. We need to lift the mandates. We need to get back to the way things used to be. They had no intention of negotiating with these people. And just like I say, you don't negotiate with terrorists, the government of Canada truly believes these truck drivers, these blue collar workers, the salt of the earth people, that those people are the domestic terrorists. And how do you fix that? You can't. You can't. And if I were a country, I would sanction the crap out of Canada until they changed what they were doing. I wouldn't allow them to participate on the global stage until they fix their human rights abuses. See, the problem is a lot of people think these measures weren't human rights abuses. All I can say is watch a child try to function with one of these oxygen inhibiting devices on their face hour after hour each day. That's child abuse, folks. It's child abuse. And any government, any country, any family, any parent that would willingly do that to their kids is suffering from some kind of psychosis. And that's all I got. So until we fix this from the bottom up, it ain't going to get fixed. And these are tyrants, and they apparently like to wield power, and they're knocking people over in the snow and dragging them away. And it's one of the saddest things I think I've ever seen.